we have a bunch of people on Zoom and Facebook Live, so we're gonna get started here. We have a guest speaker today joining us from Helium 10, Shivali, and she's gonna share a little bit more about, finding products, which is a really big, thing that a lot of new sellers have struggle with. So it's actually one of the biggest questions I get asked constantly is how to find products online. So thank you for coming here today, Shivali, and joining us and, kind of giving us some tips and tricks and hacks and stuff on really how to deep dive using Black Box and, maybe any other specific tools you guys have. So I will give you the floor now and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that intro. So, for those of you guys who are like, who the heck is this woman? I am Shivali Patel. I'm a brand evangelist at Helium 10, as well as an Amazon seller. I got started selling in 2020, kind of when peak COVID was happening and you had nothing better to do. So, I was transitioning over, knew nothing about e-com really. I tested some other models, but really when I got into selling on Amazon is when I kind of found my gold mine or what I got really, really passionate and excited about. So I started with books. I sell digital and physical products on Amazon. And of course, I educate people on how to use Helium 10 tools. If you don't know about Helium 10 specifically, we are a software suite of tools for the Amazon, Walmart, TikTok shop seller, mostly focused on Amazon and Walmart. And we have everything from product research going into keyword research, building out that listing, running those ads later on, and just keeping a pulse on your business. So, over 30 plus tools. And today we're going to just touch a very, very brief portion of that for product research. If you guys are in your product research phase, first of all, I commend you. Congratulations on taking the first step towards making your dreams a reality. Second of all, this is a very exciting time of your business because whatever you end up choosing as a product will not only put money into your pocket, but it'll also leave impact for your consumers. And the more research that you do up front, the easier it will be for you later on. So if you can do all that heavy lifting now, the easier your life will be later on. All right. So just keep these things in mind. Typically, when I'm teaching product research and we talk a little bit about validation, first of all, the tool we're going to cover today is called Black Box. And I'll show you a demo. We'll get into screen share. What I recommend doing is if you have a Helium 10 account, open it up in another browser and follow along. Best way to learn is by doing things. So I don't want you to just listen and take notes, actually open it up, follow along, and don't just put in all the same numbers as me. The whole point of these filters is so that you can define opportunity the way that you see fit. Now, there's many ways that you can do product research. You can go into a grocery store and you find something, you're like, oh my gosh, I've had this craving. And like I see a bunch of people have been into this sort of thing and it's just peaking for you. You can check the demand on Amazon. Absolutely something you can do. When I was getting started in 2020, I went through categories and subcategories trying to decipher the information and piece it together. That sort of thing takes a long time. And that's where the beauty of Black Box comes in because this tool processes over 2 billion data points daily. And that is way more data than you and I would ever be able to sift through manually, correct? So you can quickly find product ideas. Where I was going before I got completely sidetracked into this tangent is we're going to talk about Black Box. You're going to use it to shortlist 15 to 20 product ideas and then kind of go into validation. That's what I tend to teach. However, you guys should listen to these guys. They're experts. So make sure that you use it as a starting place and then you kind of deep dive further in figuring out whether or not you really want to run with that idea. With that, let's jump in. Again, open up your Helium 10 account and follow along if you can. I'm going to make sure here once I start sharing my screen, you guys can see it okay. Yes? Good.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So currently inside of Black Box, if you don't know how the heck to get to this tool, you click Tools and click Black Box underneath Product Research. All right. In doing so, you'll see a web page that looks like this. Now, there are many different tabs that you can jump into to figure out, what sort of product that you want to find or what sort of output you'll really have, rather. And here's the difference. So for the first two, for example, the products tab and the keywords tab, the products tab is self-explanatory. You're going to have products as an output, meaning if I were to go on Amazon and I'm going to click these shoes right here. just jump into this listing page. Don't judge me for purchasing these shoes 7 times. I go with what works. Okay. If I like something, I stick with it. So these shoes are a product listing page. You have the add to cart button as well as the buy now button. I think you guys are familiar. This is a product page, right? So that's what you would get back as an output. Just to show you a brief demo, let's say that we were interested in selling something. I love food, home and kitchen dining. And then maybe I want to check out where these product listing pages might not be optimized. The thing is you have a very finite space on an Amazon page. Let's say you're walking into a brick and mortar store. Typically, you have an employee being like, hey, like what can I help you find today? What's your sizes? Whatever, blah, 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 blah. You don't have that on Amazon. So you're really trying to utilize the most amount of space given to you. What happens if you have a listing that's maybe capped out with 3 images? Amazon actually gives you access to about 8 or 9 different positions just in the images. Now, this one has, it looks like, only 6 images. If we had something that capped out at 3, but they're still somehow generating maybe, let's say 4,000, 5,000, whatever. I'm just going to type in a number here. And I click search. Now I'm finding unoptimized listings that are still generating money. So even if I went in with these 3 simple filters, I'm still having 500 items, in which case I might even go back and click edit filters and actually continue refining my search up until I get it down to a manageable amount. The whole point is not to sift through thousands of different products. The goal is to find profitable ideas quickly. And that is what the filters are there for. This is why I said there are so many filters. You don't need to put in the same numbers that I'm doing. It's just there to help you define opportunity as you see fit. For example, I typed in food items. Maybe you are a avid pet lover and that's what you are really knowledgeable about. Tap into that. So you can go in and find products in that category that you already know about and you can actually speak to. You also have review count, review rating, bestsellers rank. We'll actually jump into this in a different tab in a moment here. But you'll see that there's other things like price point, how that price has changed, and feel free to click apply filters and go down this rabbit hole. Now, anytime that I'm looking at a product listing page, this is a great way for me to find product ideas. However, obviously as a seller, you're going to be looking at a more holistic picture. And what I mean by that is when you get listed, you're going to have 0 reviews. However, your competitors in that niche might not. How do you test that sort of thing? And that's why one of my favorite tabs to use for product research is the keywords section. And the keywords tab is going to help me identify the really high in demand products that have low enough competition for you to actually go in there and actually do something and get a piece of the pie. Search volume is a great way for you to understand the demand of things. All right. And so search volume, what is it really telling me? How many times is this? We're looking at a product listing page. Let's say slip-on sneakers was our keyword or something that I typed in to find this product. Slip-on sneakers is a keyword or key phrase. And this, let's say, had a search volume of 3,000 times per month. That's telling me that there's maybe on average 100 searches per month for the last, well, I just said month. You guys understand the deal, right? So you can go in and figure out what the estimated number of searches is for the previous 30 days. Feel free to type in a minimum or a maximum if you'd like. Obviously, the more traffic that there is or more people that are searching for that product, the more likely you're going to be able to list in front of people that are ready to purchase. And that's not always the case. That's why we have this filter all the way to the right called word count. And what word count is helping us understand is maybe the buyer intent of that search term. For example, if I were to type in slip-on sneakers, or let's say I just typed in sneakers, that's pretty broad. I don't really know what I'm searching for. Maybe I'm browsing. Same as if I typed in decor or kitchen or office. I'm not sure really what I'm looking for, but I'm hoping that I'll see something that might give me ideas. Whereas if I typed in, let's say, white slip-on sneakers, or even if I've bought this 7 times, I should know that this brand is Santiro, which I somehow didn't, but because I always just go into my orders list. But you can go in and type in white Santiro slip-on sneakers. All of a sudden, I'm looking for something very, very specific. And that is a long tail keyword that now I can actually minimize my searches or narrow down my searches by typing something in. I believe we have a guest getting interactive. We like it. We like to see it. So we have a minimum for 3, let's say word buyer count, right? And you could just find the really hot leads. Other things that you have access to here as let me actually just go in and type in 3,000 since we said 3,000. Monthly revenue, you can go in and type in, maybe you want to see that the niche on average is generating at least 4,000 for revenue or something like that. You absolutely can. You can type in price point. So this is going to be your retail price. In fact, you're going to be doing quite a bit of work. So you want your profit margins to be reasonable. You don't want to do a whole bunch of work just for a few dollars. And so maybe you want to cap out a minimum or maximum because you have a limited capital to work with. I want you guys to make sure you are really well aligned with how much money you are willing to invest into your product idea. And I want you to be mindful that you don't want to invest all of your capital into your product sourcing. So what I mean by that is, let's say your budget is $5,000. You don't want to spend all $5,000 in just ordering your supply, because you're going to also have to spend maybe on shipping and on images later on. So just be mindful that whatever your budget is, work with maybe a fourth or a third of that. So that way you have a little bit of buildable room, and you are also happy when it does come time to paying your suppliers and your customs officers and all that stuff, right? So 25, maybe I don't want to opt for a massive couch, because let's just imagine with me for a second, right? Let's say you have a couch and you want to get 500 of those. How much do you think that's going to cost you? A bit of money, right? So just be reasonable if you want to go in and narrow your results down based off something like that. So maybe I just want to cap it out at 130. You can do anything for that matter. I actually go in and play around with these filters a bunch and then begin creating lists and then go from there. You have review count, review rating. These things are going to be for your top when you're looking at a search results page, just all the products that show up on page 1. And review rating, most of us don't really, let's be very, very honest with ourselves. We don't really buy below 4.5 because there's such a plethora of options on Amazon. You don't really need to go lower. So that means if you find a niche where a lot of the products are maybe 3 stars or 4 stars and people are still buying, well, 2 things. 1, opportunity. 2, why are the reviews so low? So you might want to consider both sides of that, right? Is it because there's not a good supplier in the market? Or is it because it's a really hard product to pitch to your consumers? Maybe people feel like it's too big or too small or too soft or too, hard. Whatever it is, you want to read the reviews and get an understanding and make sure that whatever product idea you run with, you actually can deliver that 6-star experience. And I know it's 5 stars. We talk about a 6-star experience because there's I'm not great with quotes, but if you reach for the stars, you land something like, what it is, right? So that's kind of that's the whole gist of the reviews, is you want to shoot for the 6-star experience or the 7-star experience so you can get the 5-star. Okay, categories. Let's just have some interaction. You guys go ahead and throw in some in the chat. Let me pop it up so you guys know that I'm doing this live. And I'm going to be seeing all these at the same time as you for the first time. Any categories: appliances, arts, crafts, sewing, baby, beauty, personal care. We have home kitchen, kitchen dining, pet supplies, patio. No takers?
There's a bit of a delay on Facebook Live, so I'm just kind of waiting to see.
No worries. Well, in the meantime, while you guys wait or post some of the categories and we wait for that to come in, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about these next ones. So you have keyword search and exclude keywords. And let's say that, this is prime timing. It's October 23rd. We have Halloween coming up. I know that I'm not going to be able to get products ready in time for Halloween. It's just way too late for that. So I can go in and exclude any keywords that I think might show up for my search results where there's demand but low enough competition, because I know I wouldn't be able to hit it. So Halloween themed things, horror themed things. And that's a bit ironic because at Helium 10, we have a coffin shelf that we sell year round. Coffin mirrors, coffin shelves, coffin like a bath rug. And there's people that buy that all year long. But for the sake of this example, let's just say we're not into that kind of thing. We could exclude those keywords. Or alternatively, maybe we want to go in and we want to type in something to do with Christmas or like Valentine's Day, and I want to prepare for that sort of season. Then I can do that here. Alternatively, of course, you can go for something evergreen and just exclude all of those entirely. Then you have shipping size tier. If you want to think about your budget, this might help you, where you can opt for the smaller standard size things from the jump. Up to you. You also have bestsellers rank. Think about a bestsellers list. The higher up you are, number one bestseller is selling a lot of volume. And so if you go for a product where the bestsellers rank is substantially high, well, you might have to compete with a lot of reviews. And if you go really, really low, well, it might not be moving any product at all. So you can go in with a BSR range if you have one that you'd like to input. You also have monthly sales unit, and that's just going to be how much volume is being moved month by month. And age or month is pretty self-explanatory as well. It's just how new or old that product is, or the list of products anyways, because this is a keyword niche. Again, we're in the keywords tab. Then you have variation count and fulfillment type. So you can select FBA if you would like, because I presume most of you guys here are interested in private labeling products. And variation count, I mean, not to say that I guess you can't have an FBM listing. A lot of us, we tend to send our inventory to our houses as well and create an FBM listing, but up to you if you want to filter down by that. Variation count, something else to consider with your budget. Let's say you're going into clothing and you want to get small, medium, and large sizing or XL sizing. Then all of that, let's say you need 100, 500, 1000 for inventory units for each of those sizes, that might add up. Something to be mindful of. So maybe you want to cap it out at a max. I've actually gone in and even launched products before where there was no variation count minimum or maximum, but I did go into a product with variations and I launched with one. So it's dependent on your risk tolerance as well, I would say, because my risk tolerance might be very drastically different from yours, right? So just things to consider. Then you have number of sellers, like I said, an FBA, FBM listing. Maybe you want to cap out at 2 if you were trying to find private label products where most of the sellers there are private label, or you can go in and do 2 if you're maybe somebody who's doing retail arbitrage on the side or like wholesale products. Let's get into title density. Now, these are more of my favorite filters to talk about because these are the ones where it really gives you a good idea of how easy or difficult it might be to rank your product. It's important to have a great product idea, but it's also just as important for you to be able to have eyeballs on that product later on and get conversions and traction for that product. So title density, what it's telling me, let's say that we were taking a look at these slip-on sneakers. And for example, these white slip-on sneakers for women, let's say they had a title density of 2. What that's telling me is 2 of the products on page 1 for white slip-on sneakers for women have this exact key phrase in this exact order, verbatim, no change in singularity, plurality, none of that. Just white slip-on sneakers for women in the actual title. And this allows Amazon to tie relevancy to that product. And so pretty much overnight or within a couple nights time, depending on the niche, you can rank for that keyword a lot faster. And when you're doing this during your product research phase, you can say, okay, I might not have to spend a bunch of money for advertising later on or like do giveaways or whatever to actually get to the top half of page 1 for the keyword that already has decent search volume. Now, this one's doesn't have title density showing up, and that's probably because there's not a single product on page 1 that has this key phrase inside of the title. So if I want to rank for this at the very top, all I have to do is put this into my title. Make sense? Hopefully it does. So something that you can take a look at for ranking is title density. But of course, you don't want to just rank for one. You want to rank for multiple keywords, and that's where broad reach potential can come in. And this is going to tell you the capability of that keyword to generate new keywords once you are running broad match campaigns later on during advertising. If that doesn't mean anything to you right now, that's okay. You don't need to utilize it if you don't want to. But you can hover over, by the way, guys, I know I'm talking through a little bit fast. So if you missed out on something I said, just hover over the question mark icon and it'll give you a very brief synopsis of what that means. Alternatively, we also have these little learn button videos that you can click on. And what it'll do is it'll pop open a set of videos that you can just rewatch, or you can rewatch this right on Facebook and follow along. We have competitor revenue, reviews, and ratings. You might wonder, what is the difference between the ones at the very top and the ones at the bottom? Great question. The ones at the top are for top products, whereas the bottom 3 are for the top 10 organic placements. If I were to go back on Amazon, and I don't believe I actually typed in slip-on sneakers and pressed enter, so let's do that. Skipping over any sponsored placements. So these are sponsored. As you can see, it says SP. For you guys, if you don't have the Chrome extension installed, it might just be down here that you have to look at sponsored. So placement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is sponsored. Sponsored, 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 sponsored. 7, 8, 9, 10. So these top 10 placements organically is what we're looking at for these bottom 3. Why is that? Because we want to rank at the top half of page 1. And so that's why we're taking a look at those top 10. And we're saying, maybe I want to see a minimum of 3 of those top 10 have less than 150 reviews, because I'm going to have very few reviews when I first launch that product. And so you want to be able to stack up to that competition that already exists. And this helps you gauge whether or not you'd be able to. So maybe you want to say, I want to see at least 3 of those or making more than 2,500 or more than 5,000. You can do that right there. Same thing for ratings. Up to you guys what numbers you want to use. Let's say we are going into health and household here. I'll just throw in some additionals for fun. Quick
Someone
search.
said pet supplies, someone said home and kitchen, someone said video
Okay.
games, furniture.
Let's incorporate that then. We have pet supplies, home and kitchen, health and household. And as you can see, 200 plus keywords found still. So the same way that I mentioned for the products tab is the same for this. I would in fact go back in and refine the search further to get it down to something that I want to see. Maybe I'm interested in going for the 4,000 at least. Still 200 plus keywords found. So you guys can go in and there's just a lot of opportunity that you would want to sift through. Little robot for waste bags. What? Litter robot. Okay. Wow. See, this is the product that would convince me to have a cat. All right. So we have these, right? And this is a product idea that we might want to shortlist that we'd be interested in because it meets all of our criteria at the top. All these numbers you're seeing at the bottom, there's nothing new. It's just the filters I explained to you a moment ago, but now you're actually seeing the associated data. So you have search volume, for example, for this is a branded cough relief thing. We have an advent calendar makeup. I don't know what that is, but I mean, I know what an advent calendar is, but not makeup specifically. So you can click the graph icon and see how the search volumes changed over time. And as you can see, this one's trending upwards. Started end of September, and it's starting to go up. I mean, this is 2024 specific, so maybe not so much for us. Let's go back into this litter robot for waste bags. 8,786. If I look at all time, it's been steadily inclining upwards. We just need more cat propaganda outside of on social to make it skyrocket, right? So you guys can go in and take a look at whether something is evergreen or maybe it's ebbing and flowing, and figure out whether it's something you would want to sell long term. Or maybe you're just interested in capitalizing on seasonality. That's cool too. You have category pest supplies, fulfillment, FBA, large standard size, variation count 3, average seller count 2, word count 5. So if you open this up, all the products roughly on average, when they're associated to keywords, it's going to be about 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as you can see. And then you have the retail price as well as monthly sales, monthly revenue, BSR, title density, reviews, and actions. Now, I do recommend always opening up the actual item on Amazon. And as you can see right here, this one is branded, as I mentioned before. And the reason I recommend opening them up, so for example, if we were to go back here, you can see the price point. Let's talk about the price point briefly. We have $21, $29, $32, $33, inching downwards to $8 even, right? This is just the liners. Obviously, the $8 one is outside of our price range of 25 to 130, and that's because this is going to take the average. All right. So when it's taking all the products as an average, it does fall somewhere between this price range. And that's why it's important you open it up, because sometimes you'll find something like accordions, and you have the kids accordion that's like $30 and a professional accordion that's 1,000 something. And averaged out, it might fit your price criteria, but if you're actually looking at the market, maybe that may or may not make sense for you to go into, depending on your budget and your risk tolerance. Once you have found some ideas, and I really do recommend going in and playing around with these different filters, then you can begin validating that idea. And there's a few things that I typically like to take a look at when I'm validating those ideas. First, of course, the price range. Make sure it's something that would make sense. I like to open up my Chrome extension. And when you open up the Chrome extension and you click X-ray, that's going to give you a 10,000-foot overview for that niche. So a lot of information that you would see here, you otherwise wouldn't have access to. For example, you have your sales. You can click the sales graph to get something like we saw before for search volume, and you get a moving average for 30 days, 90 days, 1 year, all time, bestsellers rank, and how it's changed, as well as how it correlates to your review count showing up for that listing. Then you have your price range. You get to see what the FBA fees for that are and check out how it varies. So this $40 product has a $15 FBA fee, $26 product has an $11 FBA fee, and the $8 one has a $5 FBA fee. Remember when I said if you go really low, your profit margins might not be as wide, and that's what you're really looking at here. So this can help you understand what sort of price range you're even interested in. I also want you to begin thinking about these products in subsections. So what sort of buckets really exist for this market? For example, you have a 60 count waist bag, you have 50 pack, 120, 40 count, 100. Somebody who's willing to buy a 120 pack is going to be different from somebody who's just looking to buy maybe a 40 pack, right? And so your direct competitors are going to be the ones that are at the same count as you, or the same price range as you, or the same color, right? If somebody's looking for a white litter box, they're not going to buy the black one, that sort of thing. So different subsections of potential competitor pools that you have. And when you're going in, and once you've found something that you feel like reflects the revenue or reflects the price profitability that you want, which this is how you can check out profitability really quickly, is you can click find suppliers on Alibaba. It doesn't mean you have to source on Alibaba if you don't want to, but it just gives you a gauge for what it might cost. So these are all just looks like litter bags or doggy bags. And sometimes if a product isn't being heavily sourced on Alibaba, you might not find it here, or even if it's just newer. So for example, this one specifically typed in waist bags. That's why we're seeing only waist bags. You might have to open this up. And let's just click, what's this litter robot, right? Let's see if it's even here. Okay. So check this out, $100 for this sort of product because it's electronic and it's big, right? So $100, and these people are selling, like, this is just unreasonable, right? We're not going to be able to go into this, but this is an extreme example. So these are litter bags. It looks like only litter bags are showing up. I think that's the discrepancy, because you have $26, $39. That doesn't even make sense to me. But oh, I've been reading this whole market wrong. Do you see how my brain is like literally processing as I'm speaking with you guys? So this is for waste bags. This is not for the actual robot. I was out here ready to sell the robot. So the waste bags itself, let's go back in. Then yeah, that's true. When we were clicking this button, we were seeing waste bags. So here they're pretty cheap, but they're selling them for 20 or 30 bucks. I mean, you would have to ensure that this actually does line up with that litter robot that people have, because otherwise, I don't know anything about pets, but you would want to ensure that it's going to actually be useful for the situation that people are purchasing. And if it is, then as you saw, it was pretty much sense to actually get these bags made, and they're selling for somewhere between $8 to $40, right? Pretty cool. So let's open this up and let's click the Chrome extension. And if you guys don't have it installed, by the way, what you're going to want to do is go to helium10.com/extension. And for you, it'll say add to Chrome. For me, it says remove from Chrome. All right. So going into, where is it? Let's find it again. Okay. So profitability calculator, that's going to be the 4th tab down on Chrome extension. And you'll be able to play around with these numbers. So $40, I mean, we saw the manufacturing cost look like cents, but let's say that we wanted to put it into like nice packaging or something, and we're just saying it's $2. We don't want to sell it for 39. Maybe we want to sell it for like 19.99. And this does not include the duties and tariffs to get the product from China or Indonesia or Taiwan, wherever you're sourcing from, over to the marketplace you want to sell in. So you might want to add in just like some additional buildable room. Also, other costs can include ad fees, maybe getting images made, your trademark, all that good stuff. So you want to just add in a percentage. Now, I typically for my products do my own product and video. I also think the only thing I ever hired out for was trademark. So you do have some wiggle room on how much you want to spend on doing it yourself or hiring out. So I don't want you to get freaked out by these additional costs. It really is up to you on what you want to spend. But I always talk about overestimating, because the first time that I ever launched on Amazon, I actually failed. Like my brand did not have the profit margins I thought it would. I estimated this and it was kind of like this, like 45% or something. And I was like, perfect, 45%, it'll be great. And I went in and it took me 9 months before I could actually actively sell, because there was a technical issue I had with Amazon's interface. I basically couldn't get my identity verified. I'd got all my inventory, and then there was like a back and forth with my utility bill, because at the time I was like a 22-year-old or 23-year-old with no bills in my name. So that was a pretty minor discrepancy. However, that brand, 45%, what I learned from that is you always want to shoot high and you always want to overestimate. And that's how you really stay in the good graces and in the profitable sector of your business, because then you have wiggle room, right? Don't spend all your budget on sourcing the product, and shoot for at least 100% ROI is what I recommend. So when you're finding after you're putting in ad costs or any sort of wiggle room, if you still have the 100% ROI, perfect. That's good. It's going to keep you at peace. So for example, let's say you go in month 1, you're like maybe giving away product or like running a campaign, basically giving products to influencers or whatever, however you're driving your initial traffic. It's not going to hurt your soul so much, because you know that that cost is still going to be profitable at the end of the day, right? Things to just keep top of mind. Profitability, obviously. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we recommend 100% ROI too for smaller products, and for more expensive products, we say maybe closer to around 70%, and those are for products over $100 typically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good rule of thumb you guys should stick to. Okay, then you have recent purchases. This is sort of like the 100 plus bought in the last month or something like that. You have your title character count, so how many characters are in the title. You have your seller country breakdown. If you see a lot of China sellers, or Chinese sellers, excuse me, then something you're going to want to consider is whether or not you'd be able to actually compete on the price point. Is there incentive? And so when we're talking about incentive, you might want to go to the reviews. So let's just go back into one of these products. Let's just go back into the sneakers because they're in a different tab. I'm going to click this. Go into the Chrome extension. This has 2,000 ratings. You can click review insights and it'll actually sift the data. You can go in, read, filter by the negative reviews, filter by just the positive reviews, see what top phrases or what is most widely used in terms of language, and figure out what does not work for that product and what does work, and customize accordingly. So that way the value for that product is there. As well as something else you can do is go into Black Box and go into this product targeting tab. What the product targeting tab is really looking at is frequently bought together items. How many of you guys have ever been on a product listing page and seen, like scrolled down a bit and you see the frequently bought together? I'm assuming a lot of you have, right?
Yeah.
And so you can go in and actually grab an ASIN. I'm just going to copy the ASIN from right here and paste it in. And this will now show me what people are purchasing in the same cart. This is not somebody like buying something on Monday and buying a different thing on Wednesday. This is what they're buying in the same exact cart. And sometimes they're related. So here you have people buying maybe multiple pairs of shoes. This is not a great example. Let's find something different. So let's go into our coffin shelf, actually. Grab this ASIN. Ooh, this is neat. All right. Let's see if this gives us a better gauge for you guys to look at. Okay, perfect. So as you saw, this was the product, right? A coffin shelf, coffin bookshelf, or for crystals or any spooky decor. And then you have people who are also buying spiderweb floating shelves, or these bats for wall decor, or these mirrors. So these are all different items, but this could be a great thing for you to consider if you want to bundle items together. Maybe you want to go for a premium price for a product, and you think, you know what, let me like throw in a bonus item or have two items together, or maybe there's like a bunch of small things that you can manage to, like, for example, this ice cube mold tray. Maybe you have a party kit and you have the ice cube mold tray with like the you know, instead of a coffin bookshelf, maybe like a coffin tray for waters or like whatever spooky items for a party. So things that you can essentially bundle together. And this is also helpful later on when you're trying to run ads. So you can use a lot of our tools kind of across the board during your different selling journeys. Make sense? Okay. One other thing that or a couple other things I want to talk about before I just open it up for questions and we close out, but we can go into X-ray, something else. So we talked briefly about the subsections and who your competitors really are. We talked about how you can incentivize people to purchase by avoiding things that people hate about products already in your niche and how you can improve, as well as things like whether it's profitable or not. Well, what about if you're going in and taking a look at the images? Because for this market right here, actually, let's X out. As you can see, there's a few versatile ways that people are presenting these litter bags. And it's pretty confusing because I think a prime example of why the image is important is because I was pretty confused. I think we can all agree on what this product actually was, because I was pretty excited about this litter robot, and then I realized it was just the waste bags. And so that's why you want to be very, very attentive to how the product is drawing your attention, what it's actually selling, all that good stuff. And here, when I'm scrolling, this one seems to catch my attention, as does this one, because the cat's pretty cute. But this is exactly what I'm looking for. So if I knew that I was going in for waste bags and I'm looking at all this, I might see this and think, oh, like, I might think, oh, they're selling this together or whatever, if I'm not looking at the price point, that is, and click this right away, right? Or maybe I'm going down and I see something that looks like this. Well, this is a lot more clean than all of this stuff that's going on, right? And this is pretty subjective, so you might not agree with me, but this is sort of the mentality that I want you guys to start thinking with, is how can I grab attention for my consumer if I go into this marketplace? And something that you can do just to get a really concise picture of that is, once you have your subsection kind of narrowed down, let's say you have a certain pool for price point, or like a certain pack or certain color that you're going for, go in and actually like narrow it down. So maybe these three aren't really part of my competitor pool, then you can click delete. And then once you do have some that you think, okay, these are like all 120 packs, and there's a 120 pack down here, let's click run listing analyzer. And what I'm going to do is, this is automatically going to pull in that information into our listing analyzer. And then I'm going to scroll down and click media comparison once this page loads. What that's going to do is show me all the images and all the video content right next to each other. And I can have a better understanding of how I might want to brand my product. Meaning, is there actually a way that I can brand differently? For example, for these litter bags, maybe everybody's only utilizing white and blue or white and green. I can say, I actually want something that jumps out on the page, as it says right here, media comparison. And there you have it, white, blue, white, green, right? That's what I was seeing on the page. you don't have anything that's just really showing up. Maybe I want to go into my reds and just fully embrace my litter waste bag company, just all red, right? So it jumps out on the page, and then figure out how I can incorporate that into my listing. You can also later on, when you're actually trying to build out images, and let's say you hire out, you can export all this media and just give this to whoever your designer is. So a lot of different things that we talked about today. I do want to open it up for questions since I know we're at like 45 minutes now. And we talked about the product section for finding product ideas. We talked about keywords and how you can use the different filters to find opportunity as it suits you. To shortlist ideas you might want to further validate. We talked about the profitability calculator, how the media images works, how you can compare them and figure out if there's a branding difference you can take, review insights, just a lot of different things. And I don't want you to get too overwhelmed by it, because honestly, I think if it's your first go around, you need to focus on it one step at a time. So just start with black box, go into the question mark icon if you forgot what I said, and just discover it on your own. Because I promise you, as you're going through, you'll learn the tool faster than you think you will just by doing it. Okay, with that, let's open it up for questions if you guys have any.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Honestly, it was really detailed, and I've been using Helium 10 for years, and even I learned something. So I
Oh,
mean,
amazing, good.
for everybody who's been on the call, I'm sure people are going to take away a ton of value from this. I love how, you know, with every filter, there's a logic or a reason behind it, right? Like a lot of people, they just kind of plug in numbers, and they don't understand really what they're doing. But you know, for example, like the images, right? Like you're putting in a number with an intention of beating your competitors, right? So
Right.
there's always that in mind, that people need to be, you know, intentional with the filters they use. Why are you using this filter, right? Like what are you trying, what's the goal? So I love the optimization stuff that you did, right? With the images, like trying to, you know, one up your competitors, always trying to do something different, make it better, right? We're always trying to serve the customers and create a better product. So that was great. I honestly never have used the image filter, so like I'm gonna start using that now.
Yeah.
That one, I thought that one was great, along with the reviews, you know, the ratings. I always tell my students and stuff, right? Read the reviews, read the ratings, right? Why do they have 4 stars and they're still selling, right? There must be a reason, must be a better thing you can do for that product to serve those customers. So yeah, great stuff, really, really good stuff. And I'm sure everybody got a ton of value from that. So thank you so much, Shivali.
I'm glad.
Yeah, thank you, Shivali.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions for Shivali, I'm just gonna give it a minute here on Facebook. Sometimes there's a bit of a
No
lag.
worries.
And in the Zoom as well, if any of you guys have any questions, feel free to send it in the chat, or I mean, you guys can unmute yourselves and ask a question.
And now just let everyone know, I got a special discount code for everyone for who doesn't have Helium 10, or yeah, if you wanna, I don't know if there's ways around if you're already signed up for Helium 10 to use the discount code, but if there is, maybe you can let us know, Shivali, or if you're allowed to let us know.
What's
Yeah.
the discount code? Is FFF?
No, I'll share a link on in the chat, and I'll also share it. I'll put it at the bottom of the video so you guys can go ahead and click on it.
Yeah, if you guys like signed up for the account like right at the beginning of this call, because I said open up a Helium 10 account, and you know, now you're getting the discount, then just open up a chat ticket. There's like a little chat button at the bottom of the web page that you can just click on and share the query and say, oh, I
Awesome.
was on this call and I opened it at the beginning of the call and we got this
Awesome. Yeah,
discount
super helpful. Yeah, I did see someone message. This is really helpful. Thank you. I don't have any specific questions currently, Jessica. Yeah, thanks, Jessica. Thanks for coming. What is the discount? I'll send you the details after, Jess. I think it's 30 or 35% off.
Yeah, if if you guys are in the product research phase, and not even just product research, Helium 10 does a ton of stuff from A to Z, all the way up until, launch and beyond. So, if you guys are doing product research right now, highly, highly recommend you get Helium 10. Honestly, I don't know how you would even do product research without it. So it makes things super helpful. So, if that's one of your big questions, how do I find products? Use Black Box. It's really as simple as just using Black Box, filtering through and finding those good opportunities. So yeah, highly, highly recommend getting Black Box or Helium 10 if you guys haven't already. Let me see. I don't see any questions popping up in the chat either. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys do have questions down the line, you guys can just, shoot me a message and then, I can answer any of your questions. But I think for now,
I see a question.
Yes,
oh, there you go.
Yassine says, I see that Chinese sellers are dominating the market in all kinds of products and their prices are lower than the majority. According to your experience, is there some niches where we find less Chinese sellers? Unfortunately, I think everybody would love to find niches where there's less Chinese sellers.
Supplements.
Yeah, supplements definitely, I think, are a big thing, something that's topical, something that's digestive. That sort of stuff tends to be produced. I mean, if I don't know if all of you guys are in the United States, but if you are, then that sort of thing definitely has less Chinese sellers because there's so many regulations that are associated to it, and then you would just end up having to source in the country that you're selling in. But outside of that, honestly, it's just kind of opening up those ideas and testing. One of my products was in a market that was dominated by the Chinese, and I actually launched after I knew that. I mean, like I knew even when I was doing product research, they were all Chinese sellers because I could see their countries. And I just found a way to bundle the product basically and offer enough value where everybody was selling for $30 and I went in at $120 and still sold out of my inventory within 2 weeks. Like it was it's a good problem to have, right? So it's not to say that it can't be done. It's just you really have to implement out of the box thinking to make sure you're going to be able to see it all the way through.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, don't be afraid of the Chinese sellers. I know a lot of people, when they see a bunch of Chinese sellers, they're afraid of those price wars, right? Everybody's dropping their prices down lower and lower. But in our program and just in general, we talk a lot about differentiating, right? So that's a huge thing, is like the ability to differentiate your product among your competitors. If they're from, Europe, US, China, it doesn't matter. You always want to differentiate your product, right? As long as you got that down well, that your customers resonate with it and they see that value, it doesn't matter what anybody else is priced at. You can price your product how you see fit and people will buy it. If it's a good product and you've differentiated well enough, people will buy it.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I see Ali asked, does Helium 10 track keywords that a product is ranking for? Yes, it does. And I'm going to share my screen just so you can see it real quick. But if you are trying to track a product, you go into tools and you go underneath analytics where it says keyword tracker. In clicking that, you're going to be able to click add products. So this is if you're going in with a new product, maybe. Hopefully you have your interfaces connected. If you don't know what the heck that means, that's okay. You click this drop down and you click connections. And that's just going to let your Seller Central, like once you have your product listed on Amazon, actually communicate with Helium 10. And so when you click add products, it'll actually pull up the products that you're selling. And you can just scroll down and like select it if you want, or you can go in and click manually, or type in that ASIN alongside all the keywords. If you are building lists inside of Helium 10, then you'd also be able to click that right here. So I know that I didn't cover lists, but basically the keyword research tools that we have let you build folders. And so these are those folders that we've built out. And so you can go in and select them, or you can just paste them in as well and click start tracking. When you do click start tracking, it's going to load that data for you. And you'll be able to, for example, I'm going to expand this one out. We have 12 keywords that we're tracking for this. And you can always edit and add more if you would like. And you can also add your competitors. So we've added 5 competitors here for this coffin shelf. Then it's going to tell you of those 12 keywords, how many of those are in the top 10 placements, organic placements. It'll also tell you the top 50 organic placements, top 10 sponsored placements, top 50 sponsored keywords. So of the 12, 2 of them are ranking for sponsored in the top 50 sponsored placements. Hopefully that makes sense. You also have your ABA top clicks keywords if you have brand analytics. So if that means you're trademarked and you're actually brand registered on Amazon, then you can see this data. You have new keyword suggestions. So the tool is constantly sifting for related keywords that you might be interested in. You also have your category, subcategory, and how it's changed. Your BSR has changed. You can add notes. So if you ran some sort of influencer campaign or some sort of ad test or anything like that, you can add it in, as well as add tags. And below, you're really seeing the search volume that's associated to all of these tracked keywords that you have: organic ranking, sponsored ranking, and then something called CPR number, which I absolutely love. This is going to be how many units you have to give away at a discounted rate over the course of 8 days to rank on the top half of page 1. So let's say that I wanted to rank for, let's say that this keyword right here, 21 CPR number, which is coffin decor. I could start running ads later on. This is a lot more complicated, so I don't want to like cover so much where you guys start thinking, oh my God, you know, like don't do that. Just one step at a time. If this is not relevant and you don't want to, you're not at this sector of your business yet, just completely ignore me. So coffin decor, you could run an exact match campaign and pause it out every time you hit 2 or 3 sales. And by day 8, you'll be ranking on the top half of page 1. So really cool things that you can do here. This keyword tracker updates your ranking once every day. But if you want to track it a lot faster, because Amazon does update almost every hour, you can click this little boost icon, which is this graph, or not the graph, rocket ship icon. And as it says, 9 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, it's already left. So it tracks it for 10 days, every single hour. You know, and once it's 10 days are up, you have to just go back in and click the rocket ship icon again. So a lot of ways that you can track your ranking quickly. You can come in and input in your keywords that you want to be indexing or ranking for, and quickly see what your organic and sponsored rank is and how it's changed. So if you open it up, you'll see your top position, your lowest position, and your average position. Same for sponsored. And you can divvy it out like we do with all of our other products.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for answering that question. Does Helium
That was that.
Yeah, that was the same question. Okay, perfect.
You're welcome.
John?
That was just
Oh,
thank you, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's everything. We don't want to take up too much of your time, Shivali. Thank you so much for joining us and teaching everybody, you know, how to use Black Box, you know, with your outside the box thinking. So appreciate that. And yeah, if you guys wanna sign up for Helium 10, just shoot us a DM, and we will send you that discount code. And if you have any other questions for us, just also send us a DM. So thank you, Shivali. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank
Amazing.
you.
Have a good one, you guys.
Okay,
See ya.
see ya.
Bye.
Bye.